back to the Sunset View Family Resort in Pretoria. This is where we find my colleague Gareth Edwards. And I know that, Gareth, you mentioned before that this is not an early, festive holiday that you took without me here. No, this is in fact quite an important simulation that you will be conducting alongside quite key, enforcement agencies around the safety of South Africa. What is it all about?
Welcome back, Toombs, to the Sunset View Family Resort. It's a very important exercise as we start getting ready for the festive season. Having spoken to the SAPS earlier, this is all about preparedness. But this is not just about SAPS. It's not just about Gauteng Emergency Services. This is it's a provincial coordination. It's a training simulation between everyone that is involved with rescue and search and rescue in the province. There are so many organizations involved, and this will give you a little bit of an overview as to who is going to be involved here in a few moments from now. But just to remind you, this is a training simulation. So while we are talking about victims and plane wrecks and people in the water being rescued, at no point do I want there to be a misunderstanding that this is some kind of actual rescue. This has been very well planned, very well coordinated between all the various units that we're going to be speaking to throughout this morning. But in the meantime, to get you more details on that, let me bring into the conversation someone that I've gotten to know over the years as well, Ivor Rimmer, National Chairperson from SARSA. Morning to you, Ivor. So it's a beautiful day. I arrived this morning. I got out my vehicle to some lightning and rain, and I thought, oh, this is going to be fun. I even wore my boots, but the weather is on our side. For viewers who don't know what SARSA is, just give me an overview.
SARSA, which is derived from Search and Rescue ZA, is a national organisation made up of volunteers across the country in teams, and we specialise and are trained in wilderness and rough terrain search and rescue.
So what are we planning today? Because I'm seeing Gauteng Emergency Medical Services behind me. I see one of your vehicles, search and rescue as well. We've got SAPS here, and I know there's a lot of other people involved. We'll talk about who's involved in a moment. Just tell me what we are doing here today.
Okay, today is a simulation exercise to sort of put us through our paces and see that everybody can do what they should be able to do and be able to work together. As we often say, when you arrive on scene, one should be saying, how are you, not who are you, and today goes a long way to that. So it's about training the people, but also cross-pollinating and working with the other agencies.
So now when we talk about who's actually involved here as well, I mean, I got the briefing on what we're going to be doing today, and I'm seeing an awful number of organizations. Perhaps just run me through a few of those so people understand just how big an operation this is.
Okay, because today's exercise involves an aircraft, that's the scenario that we painted for this. It obviously starts all the way from the ARCC, or the Aeronautical Rescue Coordination Centre, who would be the ones that activate us. SAPs are involved, and because there's human lives here, then GEMS, Gauteng Emergency Medical Services, are here. SARSA is here, the Mountain Club Rescue Team are here. So we've involved all the different agencies that can be involved in a normal wilderness search and rescue scenario.
Let's talk about that. Let's talk about that scenario, Ivor, as we just give everybody a view of the boats that are going to be out as well. I see one of the boats. I think that's from SAPS Water Wing out already. Just getting prepared for a little bit later. What is the simulation? You mentioned a plane wreck, but tell me, when briefing your team and everyone else's team, what is the story that goes here?
The scenario that will unfold this morning is there's an airfield close by. There's a skydiving club there, and an aircraft takes off with a group of skydivers on board, and while they're climbing to get height so they can do their jump, the plane runs into trouble, and the pilot leaves his route and tries to head back to the airfield, but on his way past he flies over the dam and doesn't reach the airfield. He will crash very close to the dam. In that process, some of the skydivers decided to bail out of the aircraft and to actually jump, and therefore they scattered far and wide, some in the dam, some around the dam. So that will be the scenario that will be given to the search teams, and we will now activate water rescue from both GEMS and SAPS to attempt to find those that landed in the dam, plus land-based search teams that will then go through the terrain as identified by the Joint Operations Centre as to where they could be and how that scenario will go. Once they find them, then the process of bringing resources to them, being able to get them back and save them.
So where does SARSA come in on all of this? I see that fly annoying you. I've also got one on my side, Ivor, don't worry. Yeah. He wants to be part of the interview. Where does SARSA come in? How do people get involved in SARSA? Because I'm seeing a lot of the vehicles, I'm seeing the green lights around me. That's the emergency lights for search and rescue, if I'm not mistaken.
Or for disaster management.
For disaster management.
SARSA is a team of volunteers. So the people that you see here are volunteers. They've taken time off their day jobs to be here today, but equally they take time off whenever there's a call out to go on to rescue people. And if we're looking at sort of across the country, probably 2 or 3 a week that we're doing as volunteers. So just last night in Cape Town, there was a rescue with a vehicle that had gone over an edge and needed to be recovered. They're volunteers, as I say. We do a lot of training. We like to think that it's not, if you're going to do it properly, one needs to be properly trained. Yeah. And it's all about our safety as well as the patient's safety in being able to stay alive and make a difference out there.
Are you able to talk to what we're seeing with the boats at the moment? Because I'm now seeing GEMS, Gauteng Emergency Medical Services, putting their boat in the water. But what we're showing viewers at the moment, Ivor, is that boat at the back as well. That's part of SAPS, isn't it?
That's a SAPS boat there, so that falls under the water wing, and that's their rescue. GEMS, the Gauteng Emergency Medical Services, also have their own water wing that they've got there, and we're deploying both today purely so that we can have an interagency interaction and test all the different resources that we've got there.
And while we're taking a look at them setting up the boat, I think it's important for viewers to remember as well that while today is a simulation, and to those who might not know, this seems overly dramatic, you know, a plane crash into a river or into a dam, but you need to train at that high level for worst case scenario, because SARSA has been involved in multiple rescue efforts. I just think back to Mozambique just a couple of years ago. You were heavily involved there, weren't you?
Very much so. With the cyclone, and while we talk about rough terrain and we think about 4x4s, when we got to Mozambique, most of the relief aid that we delivered was via water and via the rivers because of the flooding and things that were there. So it's something that we do need to be able to do. The saying is train hard, fight easy. So if we make the simulation as hard as possible, then when you do get onto a real scene, everybody thinks, gee, this is going very well and very smoothly, because we're used to being able to do worse things than that.
I've attended 1 or 2 of the SARSA functions over the years as well, and you're always very clear, aren't you, Ivor, that you are not GEMS, you are not SAPS, and I think we must be very clear on that distinction, mustn't we?
Yeah. SARSA is a second-line organisation, so we're not the first responders, although we will go, and we wait to be called out by the authorities. So it will be SAPS that will activate SARSA, it will be GEMS that will activate SARSA. They take the call at either one of their call centres, and once they get the call and they analyse it and say, this is going to involve rough terrain, or this is going to be in the wilderness, and they need the specific resources of SARSA or whatever other organisation is applicable at the time, then they call us. So we're not being scrambled by a member of the public, we're called by the authorities to come and assist them.
And that is the kind of work, Tumelo, that Ivor Rimmer and the team from SARSA do every single day, as you heard, not just here at training simulations, actually going out on a week basis, on a daily basis sometimes, if it's really bad, going out to rescue people. Often you and I, Tumelo, are busy reporting on flooded areas up in Joburg because of heavy rain or any other kind of rescue efforts. Those are where the team over at SARSA are getting involved as well. Now, just to give you another look at what we're doing, boats getting ready for later this morning as well. We're also going to have one of our camera teams. Boy, the flies today just love me. We're going to be having one of our camera guys on one of the boats. I might be sneaking onto a boat as well to see what it feels like when you go out there to go and have to rescue someone who has actually been involved in an incident like this as well. So we're going to be out on the water, and then a little bit later there is going to be a chopper coming in as well, which is going to form part of that rescue effort as well. And then just off to my left hand side, you won't be able to see it now, that's where we're going to find the plane crash that Ivor was talking about. So this simulation, Tumelo, as I come back to you, taking place in 3 different areas. Here is the team from GEMS in their distinguishable green as well. Here you can see in the yellow and the dark blue, that search and rescue. We just spoke to them, to SARSA, getting ready. That plane will be on fire as a part of a simulation a little bit later. So this is all going to get underway in the next hour or so. For the moment, let me come back to you while we watch the teams continue to get ready for what is a joint rescue simulation here in northern Pretoria.
Yeah, quite insightful there, Gareth, also giving, our viewers just a glimpse and a peek into what really goes behind these very difficult missions and everything, of course, all involved. They have to, of course, put on the line to ensure they save lives. Gareth out there at the Sunset View Family Resort in Pretoria. We'll be sure to come back to you for more on this.